Alrighty, guys. This is Jovan back at it again with another episode of Weight Room Overtime. And today, as you can see, we do have a special guest, a friend of mine, an old teammate of mine. Maybe not that old, but we have Chris Gianandrea here. Chris, how you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Not too bad. It's a little late down in Arizona. How's
Yeah,
are you in Phoenix or where you at today?
I'm in Phoenix, so
Like, are you in the suburbs or are you in like Phoenix?
I'm
You
more
mean?
like Glendale area, so not
Yeah,
quite
because
downtown or anything.
like Phoenix is like
Oh yeah,
surrounded by a bunch of suburbs, you know. So like people when say Phoenix, and then people always like, especially when people are not from Arizona, they're like, "How close are you to Phoenix?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm like 2 hours away. I'm like 2 hours south."
yeah.
You know,
It's
so
it's divided up pretty well because you got like Flagstaff, like 2 hours north, and then you
yeah,
got Phoenix, like centrally located, and then you're down in Tucson, like 2 hours south.
yeah.
So
I'm way down here,
yeah,
but welcome, dude. Like, I'm excited to have you. I know we had a couple things planned for today as well, but Chris, I met Chris for those who don't know, and I'm sure we'll have teammates watch this, but obviously we played in at Eastern Oregon with Stan Jordan from the last episodes at Eastern Oregon, 2015, right?
yeah.
I believe it was
First
2015,
season.
and then and basically we went kind of went our own paths after that. Chris, I know. Tell us a little bit about where you're at today and kind of what you're doing after you left college, because I know your transition is a little bit different than anybody else's as well.
Yeah. So like Jovan said, we played together on that first team in 2015. I played that season, then kind of was like, I just kind of want to focus on getting my degree. And so I stopped playing and also want to transition more into the coaching side of things. And
Hmm.
so I've moved on, got my bachelor's from Eastern, then got my master's from Eastern. And now I'm down in Arizona. I teach at a middle school and then I coach at a pretty prestigious club at SC Del Sol
Hmm.
for like high school age boys, like 03, 04s. And then
Oh,
I coach a lot of those same boys on the high school I work at Millennium High School. So I'm head varsity coach. I run the program there, and then I co-coach at SC Del Sol. And it's a lot of the same boys. So basically, the 03 and 04 team, I have,
yeah.
I want to say like 10, 11 kids on my varsity high school team that I also coach club. So I get to coach them all year round.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. I didn't know you were working at a middle school either. I thought you were
Yeah.
just at the high school. But what I'm just curious, dude, because I didn't know what ended up happening kind of after we left college, because I also left. But what made you kind of decide to go to Arizona compared to, because obviously you're from LeGrand, right? Where are you from?
Yeah, I'm from LeGrand, yeah.
Yeah, and like the middle of nowhere, and then you end up in
Yeah.
like Phoenix area. So kind of talk to us a little bit about that.
So actually that was more of a personal decision because of my situation with my well now wife, but at the
Yeah.
time she was my girlfriend and we actually got engaged after the last spring game
Uh-huh. I
of
remember that.
that
Yeah.
2015 2016
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
And she's wanted to be an optometrist like all her life, and so she got into she got into Pacific in Forest Grove, Oregon, and
Yeah.
she got into this school in Midwestern down here in Phoenix. And so we kind of had to make the decision, and we figured, we're newly married. Let's branch out. All we've ever known is Oregon, and
LeGrand.
so yeah, Legrand. I mean, we have family in Portland and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but yeah, like it was just like let's mix it up a little bit. So we decided to go with Phoenix, and
Yeah.
I'm down here. This is my second year down here, so
Yeah. I think we came the same year.
yeah, we
I'm not
weren't
too
too
sure.
far behind actually.
Yeah, I came in
Because I remember,
2018,
yeah, I got down here, and you're like, oh, hit me up if you're ever down in Tucson. So
which you never come down, but
I've I I've never had the chance to get down there yet. I've wanted to. I've gotten up to Flagstaff. I haven't gotten down to
yeah,
Tucson.
Tucson's different compared to Phoenix, because I feel Phoenix is more of a, I guess, more modern compared to Tucson. Tucson's a little bit older,
That's
but
kind of where I what I hear and what I
yeah.
understand about it is it's just kind
I
of a
mean,
different
there's
vibe.
some cool things, but it's super hot, dude, just like Phoenix.
Oh
So,
yeah, it's stupid hot.
um, but yeah, man. So love stories, what kind of brought you down here? That's cool.
Yeah,
So what did you get your master's in? Because I didn't know you got your master's either.
yeah. So I got my bachelor's at Eastern
Hmm.
in physical activity and health concentration in PE sport, and then I turned around and did the Masters of Arts and Teaching program
Gotcha.
at Eastern, the MAT program. Like a couple of our other teammates have done the same route,
Ozzy
and
did that, right?
Ozzy did
Ozzy.
it, and Sid, Ozzy and
Oh,
Sid both did that. Actually, yeah, they were in the class before me, so they got their masters the year before I did.
yeah, because I
So
remember Ozzy was telling me he got his master's too, but now he's doing PE teaching as well,
yeah,
which is kind of
so
cool.
it's just it was kind of one of those things where it's like you can go get your teaching certificate and stuff with your bachelor's, but to have that master's degree and it
Yeah,
just kind of ups a little pay to start, and
yeah,
also kind of gives you a little bit better edge against people. And it was only a 10-month program, and you get your master's degree. So I was like, why
yeah,
not?
yeah. I'm on the same thing. I'm almost done. I finished in June out of my master's too, but strength and conditioning, and exercise science. So I guess
Nice.
in the similar boat, but
I've been kind of looking into doing another one in more of a more like coaching type area. I know
yeah,
Concordia University Irvine does like a sports coaching one, and then also does like a athletic
yeah.
administrator type one. So
But
I've
you're
looked
looking to
into
do
getting
more
another
of
one.
the professional setting type of master's
Yeah,
degree, right? Yeah. I'm
yeah,
doing more of the strength and conditioning, like that kind of
hmm
stuff too. In order to work at big clubs or like big universities, you need a master's. So
yeah.
that's kind of my goal. But cool, man. So talk to us a little bit about how you got into coaching, because I don't think you were you into coaching when you were in Legrand, or did that come later after you did the PE stuff
Uh,
and got your degree? So how did it end up? Because obviously you were new to the area, you didn't really know the schools or
yeah.
teams down here. Really, how did that come about?
So I mean, when I was playing, it was just all about playing. And I would take any advantage to be around the game as much as possible. So like during
Yeah,
the summertime, there was like the Union County Co-ed Rec League, and I would coach those teams, like middle school kids and stuff, just to be around the game still.
hmm,
I never really thought of much about coaching until I actually decided to stop playing. I was like, I just need a break, and so I stopped playing, and then I was like, well, now I kind of want to be around the game, but not like playing all the time. I just kind of want to be
yeah,
at it on my own terms, and so I was like, I think I should get into coaching, and I remember taking just like some bullshit like coaching like soccer class that Stan was teaching, and I took it and
got out the
we had to
stand.
write like our coaching philosophy or something like that. And I wrote, and he's all, "This is actually really good. You should maybe think about actually coaching." I was like, "Oh, I okay, yeah." And so that led me to just kind of like helping out with the high school because I went to LeGrand High School, so I'd help out here and there. And then when I did my master's, part of my student teaching was all based in Pendleton. And
Hmm.
so I was like, while I'm here, hey, Jordan, can I be your assistant? And so I assisted him and the men's team. So for 1 year, I was their assistant, and that kind of like was nice experience at the college level to get that. And then
Hmm.
once I realized I was moving down here, I just started applying for jobs like crazy, teaching jobs, coaching jobs.
Yeah.
And eventually I got the coaching job first, the high school coaching job first. I interviewed for that, and they offered me it, and they're like, yeah, we want you to take over the whole program. Like, we're kind of hitting refresh. We haven't had very good luck the last few years. We want to hit
Yeah.
refresh, and you're a young coach. Like, let's bring you in, try it out. And then last season, about halfway through the season, some parents and some of my players approached me like, "Hey, do you want to coach club too?" And I was like, "Okay." So I was like, "Why not?" And so I kind of got
Just take it.
pulled into that. And so literally, it's kind of been a crazy year with COVID and everything. But I've been coaching like club and high school since the end of July. So I've not had a break. I've been coaching
Yeah.
since July till now. Tomorrow night's our last high school game, and then I'm gonna take
Hmm.
a month off and then go back to club. So
Wow. You're busy, busy. So doing high school and comparing it to, like, let's say Oregon soccer, because you coached out there too, right?
mhm.
What would you say is there's like major differences you see between football down here and football up there, or is it kind of the same? Because obviously when we played and grew up, it's different too. Because I was talking to Jordan
Oh
about
yeah.
this. It's like, do you notice any difference in like the way that maybe some of these players are developed, or maybe their style of play is a little bit different? Because down in Tucson, I see completely different soccer than I see in Seattle or I see in Washington or Oregon. Because I think the way they develop players in in Washington and Oregon, I think for more of the Sounders area, they do a lot of system play and a lot of early young like development compared to like down here, or at least kind of where I played. It's more developed later on in life. I don't know if you've kind of noticed that, but
Yeah,
um,
I kind of have a little bit. I also think it might just be like a generational thing, not
yeah,
necessarily because I notice just like certain things like some kids, I have it and I just don't have to
yeah,
like I'll give them a couple things and they got it and then other times like I'll repeat the same thing over and over again and they're like, "Yeah, okay, that understands. I
and then
get
go
that."
back
And
to
then
their own
they get
ways.
out there and they get out there
Yeah,
and they do the same damn thing. I'm like, "Do you get it though?" And so I do notice a different style though, for sure. And especially like where I played though, growing up in LeGrand, like soccer was not big
yeah,
until really the men's team at Eastern got there, and then that's when it started to really gain more
the
popularity.
clubs.
The
Yeah,
girls, the club kicked off, and then the girls' high school team started making runs at state championships. The boys' team started making deeper runs in the playoffs, and then the women's program at Eastern has really taken off, and the men's team, so
yeah,
soccer in Eastern Oregon wasn't really a big deal. I mean, I graduated in 2011, and I remember I had to like pitch myself to college coaches. Like I was hitting up all the junior colleges anywhere in Oregon, like, "Hey, can I come out for a tryout?" kind of thing. And they're like, "Do you have film?" Well, no, no one films our high school games. "Oh, what club do you play for?" "Oh, the
yeah,
closest club is like 2.5 hours away in a different state."
yeah.
"Oh, well, fill out this questionnaire." And so, like, I had to do a lot of like just
Fighting to
showing
at
up.
least play somewhere. Yeah,
Yeah, so I did a tryout at Walla Walla. I did a tryout for CBC, and those were just kind of like the coach was just like didn't introduce me, didn't say anything. He was just like, "What position you play?" I was like, I play winger, I play center mid, I play
yeah,
striker, I can play tagging. Like, what do you want me to play?" He's all, "We'll just get in there." And so, you get thrown in that situation. These guys don't know who you are, and
yeah. They.
especially dudes, they might get like kind of ego-ish and be like,
Hmm.
I don't know this dude." And so I was just basically out there running around, touched the ball maybe twice, and finally got a chance at SWAC down in southwestern Oregon. Took that, but
I
one
forgot
thing
you played there.
yeah,
I
I
think I
played there for
remember
a
you telling me you
season.
played there. Yeah, I
Yeah.
forgot about that.
So I would say moving through like Oregon and stuff like that, through when I was playing like high school and growing up, it was very much kind of similar to what you're just saying, like systematic. And I was very much like all my coaches that I ever had were like, "You got to be able to do the simple stuff like
Perfectly.
perfectly."
Yeah.
Yeah. And to here, man, I have kids that like play club, play really high standard club, but like I don't think they ever work on just technical ability until I start like a lot of times like they'll work on passing and stuff like that, but they don't like touch and stuff
Hmm.
is kind of like, "Oh, if you want a better touch, you got to do that by yourself." So
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to get to because I've noticed that down here too. And some of the younger athletes, not necessarily the older ones, because like again, I think it's a generation thing.
mhm.
Like for me growing up, for example, I started soccer playing like futsal indoor, so I learned quickly like first touch, passing, speed of play, that turnovers and stuff like that, compared to somebody who might have played like little kickers or played like, the U5, U6 at a club where they're just playing for fun, not necessarily teaching the fundamentals that early on, which carries on in those bad like habits carry on. Like as you notice, you tell this guy to
Oh yeah.
work on his first touch trapping or whatever it may be, and then he does it for maybe one or twice in a game, and then he goes back to his ways where he's losing the ball. So I've noticed because I played out here, and I noticed some of these youngsters where their IQ is not as far as I feel like it should be in a sense. But I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know. I haven't spent that much time out here in the clubs or anything like that. It's just kind of what I observed playing.
I think
And
I noticed the same thing, and I mean I play adult league right now, and so I play with a bunch of guys that are about our age and stuff, and it's kind of very similar. I got in an argument with one of my teammates the last game we played because he was trying
yeah,
to tell me I didn't get the ball because I was off sides, and I was trying to tell him like I didn't want the ball. I was just making the run to open up space, and he
yeah.
just didn't get what I was saying. I was like, "Dude, you can make runs without getting the ball." I was
Yeah,
like, "That's IQ
so
stuff."
I think was he Hispanic?
No, he was from like South Africa or something.
I would say the same thing because when I play down here, I play with a lot of Hispanics. Obviously, there's the majority of the people down here, but
Yeah.
um, a lot of them like never really played at a competitive level, like at a competitive level, like college or at a
Hmm.
big club or coached by somebody that's familiar with actual U.S. licensed coaching. And you can tell because they don't really understand those runs and like don't understand the game at that level. I guess you would say they understand it at a fun like maybe a competitive level, but it's just like who's good on the ball, who's good at counters, who's good at shooting, who's good at making fouls
Yeah.
when they need to. But when they do like you said, open up a run for that forward to maybe slot in, they don't really understand that. So it's like I get mad sometimes because when I go out there, I make these runs and these guys don't know what to do, like the reason and why I'm doing that.
Yeah.
But I do see it when I played on another team where I do have some kids that played college or like at bigger clubs. They understand that it's like, oh yeah, dude, I saw what you did there, and then they would recognize it. But as long as just in general, but I guess I mean it's understandable because you're just playing a rec league, or playing at
Yeah.
a
And
fun
that's
league. But
like I try not to get. I'm just out there to get exercise,
so
so
do I.
like
Yeah,
it's like a Division 3, like it's not that competitive kind of thing. It's just like I'm just out there to get
for
some
fun. Yeah,
exercise, run and play, but at the same time, like I can't help myself sometimes, and like I
yeah.
get into it, and we I'll notice like when I watch like the Division 2 or Division 1, those you have to be like a like college or have played
Yeah,
for a long time. And it's funny, like most of those guys are white dudes. And it's
yeah.
kind of like
Grand
which
Canyon
is sad
University.
because there's so many like a lot of the guys I'll play with that are Hispanic or of different descent are like really skilled and stuff. But
Their IQ.
little
Yeah,
it's that difference between
yeah.
IQ, and it's just like I don't understand the gap and what happens. And I think it's just that coaching, like coming up.
I think it
And
is because they like for example when you come from a low income family or a place
mhm,
where your parents don't have the capabilities of paying for you to play at a club or get coached by somebody with the familiarity of with soccer. um they tend to grow up in that I guess arena where they play against amongst each other, where all they know is kind of what they developed on their own or playing against good teams or good players, but don't really get developed. And then I think that's why there's a lot of reasons why a lot of these kids are good at Mexican league or good at certain
mhm.
leagues. But then you put them in a college space, for example, if they go try out for Grand Canyon University or University of Arizona, they're not going to make it because they're way off of their development when it comes to, I guess, real soccer in a sense, right? Or competitive soccer. So I think from my perspective, I think that's what's happening, where there needs to be like some help for those athletes to be able to, and whether that's like they're in high school, they need to
Yeah,
recruit better coaches or teach their coaches some of this, fundamentals or the reasoning behind some of the development.
that's the tough part about club is it costs so much money. Like I
Yeah,
didn't realize, and like I grown up, I my family was low income and stuff, and
yeah,
so even if there was club, I wouldn't have been able to afford it. So I was very fortunate that the coaches I had like knew what they were doing and knew what they were talking about and helped me a lot. And then like Jesse had coached me before EOU, and he'd
at
worked
the high
with
school.
yeah, like he'd come in and like volunteer and stuff like that because the coach I had and they were good friends and stuff, and so
Hmm.
like Jesse knew me well before EOU and all that, and then I had other coaches. I mean, I hate to
Hmm.
I hate to bash, but the only coach I ever was like, I don't like you and I don't like anything you do was my coach at SWAC. Like I
Oh,
did
really?
not. I was like, this is not. We did the same practice every damn day, and we did the same stuff, and I was like, this is
Yeah,
terrible. And the
SWAC
sad
was
part
one of those
was,
schools where it was like, was it like a technical school, like a computer
uh,
school, or like?
they had like a culinary program and stuff like that, but
Oh, I'm
it
getting it
was
mixed up with a school in the NWAC in the CCC, right? We
oh,
played a
it's
school down there.
like OIT. You're thinking
Yeah,
like
OIT.
that's
Yeah,
more
yeah.
like Klamath Falls, but yeah. Yeah, SWAC. Like when I was at SWAC, we weren't good. We had really skilled players, but we just couldn't gel. But
Yeah. So when you're coaching these fellas that you have now, because obviously they're on two teams, what would you say is stronger, the high school or the club?
I would say I'd say I have a good bunch of the kids from the club on my high
Yeah,
school, but I'd say as a whole the club only because there's kids on the club teams that are playing at like 6A schools,
yeah,
like really good 6A schools, and so they're playing with and against really top talent all the time and getting more of that, and then we're at the
yeah.
5A level and we might not play some of those kids or we might play different ones, but
Do
I'd
you
say
guys play Tucson
overall
schools at all?
no. Not this year we didn't.
I thought, but yeah, because I don't know. I'm not really into the high school setting here, but I figured since it's only 2 hours away, it might be in the same conference.
Yeah, there's a
But
couple there's some 5A schools down in Tucson,
yeah,
but
I
we didn't
figured.
we didn't play them this year.
Okay. And so, as far as like competitive wise of the league, would you say the high school or the club? Obviously, I think the probably the club would be harder, right? Or
Club, so the '04 team I co-coached with, the club was actually in the like top league this year, one
uh-huh,
of the top leagues
like
this
the
year.
Premier League.
So yeah, kind of like that. And then the '03 team I coached was like right below that. They're like in state one.
Mm-hmm.
So they're both really competitive teams. The '04 team I coach was playing in state one the last couple of years, and they're just murdering teams.
Yeah.
And so this year was a bit of a learning process for them because we played some really tough teams. We played one tournament, and there's a Northern Cal school that came. And man, the first 5 minutes, I was like, okay, we got these guys. And then all of a sudden, they just flipped a switch, and it was like, holy shit, man, these kids can ball. And it was just
It's
like
yeah, it's
totally different.
crazy. Like I've never like I think I want to coach at some point. I just don't know when I'm gonna make the transition or just train athletes because I was kind of more towards that to get a whole range of different athletes. But um, what is your perspective now as a coach compared to when you were a player? And thinking back, like I played in high school at one point. You know how much you looked up to the coach, or how did you kind of, if you did, right, switch your mindset into like I want to be that coach. If this is kind of going through your mind, I'm not sure, but um, like how do I become a mentor for these guys that somebody maybe I didn't have growing up, or how did you, or are you kind of just doing your own thing where you're hoping that these guys are going to listen to you or kind of create that relationship with you that will last forever, right?
Yeah, I think it's about creating a trust and just getting them to buy in.
Yeah.
Like just in you as a person, and you got to be genuine. You just got to be who you are.
In the
Like
high
I
school
see a
setting, you're
lot.
saying though.
Yeah, at the high school setting, like coaching high school or just coaching
In general, what you're
coaching
saying.
in general. Yeah, I mean, especially with dudes, like with guys, you gotta be straight up who you are, or else they're gonna be like, nah, man, I ain't with this guy, and I'm not playing with this guy or for this guy.
Hmm.
I know for me coming up, uh, I loved all the coaches I had. I loved it. They taught
Besides the
me
SWAT
so
one.
much. Yeah, except for the soccer one. I mean, he was a good dude. I didn't like his soccer ideas. But I learned so much, and I mean, I only played rec soccer. I didn't play club. I didn't do anything like that.
Yeah.
I played football, like American football. And when I got into high school, I was barely like 5'2", and I was like, I should probably take a little time off, let my body grow. And so I just went to soccer, and I never looked back. I just kept playing because of my coaches.
Yeah.
And so I've really enjoyed that, like learning from every coach. Like I do drills from my JV coach back in high school because I was like, this was really helpful for me. And so I try to implement stuff that I've learned from coaches,
Hmm.
but at the same time put my own twist on it.
Yeah.
And last year when I came into this high school program, they were like well under 500. I think they'd won like 4 games the season
Yeah.
before me. Then they lost a lot of kids. And then last year, I knew it was going to be a rebuilding year because I had
Hmm.
like 4 seniors and 2 juniors, and that was it. And like the people like tried out and stuff. And based off everything I heard from the culture, like the team was fighting each other. Kids were getting suspended because they're literally fighting each other at practice. And so I was like, well, I got to come in and create a new culture. And I was like, it might cost us, but I got to do it. And so I had 11 sophomores on varsity last year.
Oh well,
which yeah, and so we're playing teams that had like
seniors and
that
stuff.
many
Yeah,
seniors and stuff, and it was a rough year. We went 1-13 or whatever, and then this year I brought all those kids back, same culture. They're all bought in, and we swept our region. First time we've won region in almost 10 years.
yeah,
Um, we're like at 500 right now. We play our last game tomorrow night to keep us at 500, be above. So I don't think I do any of that if I try to be someone I'm not
yeah,
or don't bring in a culture. I think it kind of continues down the same path.
yeah. That's interesting. So I think one thing I wanted to ask you too was that rebuilding structure like years because every high school has to go through it, right? Where they have a group, like nice, year where they have a lot of nice guys come in where they're really good, and then you develop those kids for 4 years, and then they take off, and then you basically have to rebuild that program from the upcoming kids or people got injured or whatever it may be. But then you have to rebuild that program. Um, do you plan on like coaching high school for a while, or do you plan on moving up to either bigger clubs or high school or college? I mean, not high school, but like college and community college or anything like that.
I mean, I would
Or do
love
you? Yeah,
ideally I to coach college. Like I think I'd like to. I think in a perfect world, I'm coaching college and I'm teaching at a college. Like
yeah,
that's my vibe. I love that vibe. But at the same time, I understand. You got to go through the process,
yeah.
and I haven't. I'm not like Jordan dove right in, got all his got licenses and all that stuff, and I'm just kind of like I've gotten a
Getting the
couple
experience.
licenses.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm just kind of like I'm just going off my experience, and I mean I learn. I'll watch videos, I'll do stuff like that, not necessarily take licenses and stuff, and or I'll call up coaches I know, or I'll talk to Stan, I'll talk to Jordan, try to get
hmm,
experience. But I'll probably continue coaching high school for a little
hmm,
bit in club, and just kind of when the right opportunity opens up, hopefully take my shot at. Uh, College, whether it's community college or a little bit higher level. But I think that's probably like goals right there. Just college,
yeah.
being a nice college coach, and I like to settle down, build roots. So like I know when it comes time to leave this program, leave these kids and stuff. It's gonna be tough, even though
Leave
I'll probably
Arizona.
see most. Yeah, leave the nice weather when I'm not. Everyone always asks, "How's Arizona treating you?" I'm like, "Well, if I'm not working or coaching, I'm playing golf, so
Yeah.
it's like all year round. I
Actually, I
mean,
need to
can't
go
complain."
golfing soon. I'm actually moving, dude. I move in less than a month. I
Oh
leave on the
yeah,
first. I'm going to
where are you
Montana.
going? Oh
I
wow,
know. Yeah, dude. I'm going actually where University of Great Falls is, which they changed their name to Providence
uh,
University. I don't know if
yeah,
you know.
Providence, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try to work there, and I know they have a men's program, and then I'm trying to get on the strength and conditioning staff there. So
Oh, nice,
that'll
man.
work out. Hopefully, I played in the
You're gonna go
CCC, so
from
I understand I
yeah,
guess
you're gonna go
the
from
heat.
that intense hot to that crazy Montana cold, man.
Intense cold, dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I guess I'm kind of used to it, but because I'm from Washington, but it's different cold than Montana because of the elevation. But yeah, dude, that's kind of where I'm going in a month. So I'm starting to pack up here soon too, which is always always a
Oh,
rough time, I guess.
I hate that. When my wife and I both have said when she's done, we decide to move. We're gonna bring back just the essentials. We're selling everything else.
That's exactly what I'm doing. We're getting rid of all
Yeah,
the stuff that I don't want to take anymore.
I don't want to
but
take it.
but I do have another question for you. So, um, you were a student athlete at once in college. Obviously you got your master's degrees, and obviously you put education up first, and you even left soccer, right, to continue your education or finish it. How are you preparing your athletes today? Because the one thing I've noticed, not all the kids you have are going to make it to a college, college program or even college in general. Um, how are you kind of molding them or shaping them or getting prepared for? Do you have seniors today?
Yeah, I have 5 seniors this year, so
Like, are you helping prepare them for like going on trials or
yeah.
anything like that? Or
So I mean, like I'm helping them as much as possible. This is only my second year with them,
yeah,
so like the next year when I have like the kids I've had since they were sophomores and stuff, it'll probably be a little bit more in depth with it. And but yeah, these seniors, I mean, I got a few that want to play and are definitely capable of playing at the next level. I got one or two that are capable of playing at the next level, but are just kind of like, I don't know if I want to.
Yeah.
But with all my athletes, not just seniors, especially on club, I'll have kids ask like, "Where'd you play?" And I'll be like, "Oh, I was at NAI school," and I'll explain to them and stuff like that, and they'll ask questions, and I get a lot of kids, that for some reason they got
Yeah.
D1 all up in their eyes, and I'm like, I don't know why. I was like, college
But
sports is
I
college
guess it's
sports,
everybody's
man.
goal. They always want to shoot
Yeah,
high
I
and
mean, yeah,
then
I
realize it real quick on
I
the senior year, like, maybe I'm not that good.
I remember being in middle school and my goals were I was going to go to Stanford and play college football. That was like my dream. I was like, I'm going to go to Stanford, play college football in like sixth, seventh grade. And then like I said, I was like 5'2" my freshman year. I was like, probably not Stanford. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, D1 is always the dream. But at the same time, I tell them like, don't get caught up in that, man. You can find a really good school that's
Yeah.
just as competitive and cheaper and get a degree.
Yeah, I was talking to
And
Jordan about this in the last episode and like his thoughts around that because there's a lot of those like I've talked to a lot of people, especially in high school, where they're like seniors and I wouldn't say they're cocky, but they have a big ego and they're like, oh, I'm getting scouted by this school and I'm gonna go try out at some of these big schools. And then I actually experienced it firsthand. Remember I was a senior. I actually went to Seattle Pacific University. It was a private school in Seattle, like Division 2, I think, or Division 3, I forgot. And I did really well at the tryouts, dude. Like I scored like 2 goals in the friendlies and all this other stuff. And dude, they didn't even take anybody, I don't think, out of the trials. And there was like 60 of us. And there was like solid players like transfer to community college, even like peers already in the league, and they still didn't take anybody. And I'm like, this is where I'm gonna stop coming to these schools and wasting my money because I think I paid like $100 to go try out. And I always like to share that story with a lot of these youngsters because, as Jordan said, is if you feel comfortable, riding the bench for a couple years, because you're not gonna play unless you're like
no,
badass, and then spending that amount of money at these big schools, like just to sit on the bench. I mean, it could have a great experience and learn a lot, develop in soccer, yeah. But do you want to play for 4 years or do you want to sit for 2 years? You know what I mean? So like,
yeah,
it just kind of depends, right? Depends on if you're good at it. I mean, by all means, right? It just comes down to that one thing. You know what I mean? So,
I
what are your thoughts
think
on it?
I'm I'm like I don't I guess me the competitiveness in me I'm like I would not want to go somewhere just to say I went there even though I rode the bench.
Yeah.
Like I would much rather go somewhere and be like, yeah, I played and I played a lot and I got my degree and I got it for cheap than
Not
say,
gonna
oh,
match you.
yeah, I went to, I went to OSU and I redshirted and then I was on the bench. I didn't even travel with the team and I paid a bunch of money for
Played 2 minutes
a
when we were up
degree.
4-0.
Yeah. I mean, like, and that's why I tell these kids, man, I'm like, if that's what you want, great. But at the same time, you can play at the next level and actually play.
Yeah.
And
So
that's something you gotta think about.
yeah, the reason I did this podcast was really to open up because I don't think it's shared enough. Like even me or you, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure you're on the same boat as I was, where we didn't like I didn't have an older brother or somebody kind of mentoring me to get to where I was at today or play at a level. I did it on my own,
Hmm.
dude. Like I went to the tryouts, I knew coaches and stuff like that,
Yep.
and I did the hard work and I played and did well, and then like I wanted to give that to my community back home in Pasco because there's a lot of great talent. They're just not developed correctly to go play at these schools. But once they figure that out, you'll have a lot of people going to college and understanding why college is important, but then also what it takes to be a student athlete because that's a whole different conversation because a lot
Oh
of these
yeah.
kids are not good at school, especially when you come from a for a 6A school where it's kind of shitty, or it's not a prestigious educational school where they're just going to school, kind of like I did. But the program was great, but their grades were not matching where they want to go play at, and then they're screwed playing at a community college, so
Well, and that's like that's your skill level and all that is like one side of the coin. And the other side is like I get coaches all the time that'll ask, like I'll be telling them about a player and they'll be like, okay, what's his grades like? And thankfully, I'm very thankful. A lot of the kids that are on my varsity team or
Hmm.
on my club team are awesome students. I have students who are probably going to be going to college on academic scholarships and stuff
Hmm.
like that because their grades are off the charts. And so that's been super nice to not really worry about that. But yeah, I mean, I remember doing recruiting trips with Austin, the men's coach at BMCC, and with Jordan, and that's totally different too. Like the difference between girls and boys, because like girls, man, they get recruited up fast because they
Yeah,
have really good grades, and if
yeah,
they can play, they're in. And then guys, if they have really good grades, but maybe they can't play that well, it's like okay, well at least they'll boost our GPA. But then the really good ones, you
yeah.
look at their GPA and it's like at a 2, and you're like, well, you're definitely coming to a junior college
Yeah,
because that's not going to cut it. And so and it's one of those things where you have to instill to them, especially when you get to college. Like student athlete in high school is way different than student athlete in college
yeah.
because you don't have your parents anymore. Like it's on you. And I know a lot of people go into
Gotta
that
grow up
freshman
fast.
year,
Yeah,
and yeah, they go in that freshman year, man, and they realize about halfway through the first term or whatever, and they're not doing so well in school, and it's like, oh, that's because I keep staying up all night playing video games or messing around and not doing my
yeah.
studies, or I'll go to practice and I don't do this. And I know that's how it was for me when I was at SWAC. I got like halfway through the term and I was like, oh, my grades are bad. And I was a decent student in high school. Like I wasn't amazing, but I was
Yeah,
decent. Like
yeah.
I was like at like a 3.1 GPA. I
So
barely
was
went to
I. I was
school,
like
but
3.0.
like I barely went, but I was like, I don't need to go. I have a 3.1. Like, why do I need to go to school? But when I got to college, it was kind of the same thing. I was like, why do I need to go to class? And so I literally just played soccer, was in the weight room, and chased girls. And then like halfway through, I was like, oh, my grades are bad. I need to fix this. And
Yeah.
so it's
You
just
you yeah, you mentioned weight room. And obviously I'm a big like heckler when it comes to strength training and how that, I guess translate or manifest in performance in the field or any sport that you play. How like for me, I like after doing my master's program, which I'm almost done, I've noticed or I kind of learned like a lot of stuff that I wish I knew when I was younger because I could have probably played at these bigger schools or been better prepared at the tryouts because all like I never really had that coach or I guess that person to tell me this is why strength is important to be able to be faster or jump higher or whatever it may be. So today, do you guys like have a strength coach at? And I'm not talking to obviously your PE teacher, but that's
yeah.
different from a strength and conditioning coach because all they know is
Yeah.
how to program correctly for competition. You know?
So we do have a strength and conditioning coach at Millennium. He works with teams though, and you gotta pay him per team and stuff like that. He's not like just hired by the school.
Yeah.
He works for the school, but for individual teams. And I tried to get him to work with us this year, and he really wanted to because he wanted to work with the soccer team. But unfortunately, not only when I took over the program was I rebuilding the culture and stuff, I had to
Yeah.
rebuild the budget. So
Just spend it on
we
cleats.
yeah, well, there's no money. So I had to he was trying to work with me so hard. He would be like, "Can you do this amount? Can you do this amount?" And I was like, he was telling me, I was like, "Man, I think I got into the wrong profession. I think I should do what you do because like the money he's wanting us to pay him." I was
Oh
like,
yeah, when you
"But
have
I
like
know it's worth it." So I told
yeah,
him, I was like, "Dude, next year I'm gonna have that money, and
yeah.
we're gonna work
I
with
can
you."
also help you out if you need programming like that. To me, that's not an issue because I love to help any program out really. Especially if because I know you, But and that's my whole goal with the podcast is kind of grow that aspect and educate
Mhm.
coaches and players because dude, like I'm telling you, like a lot of these high school athletes can compete even in community college or JUCO or a smaller school like an NAIA conference school and be a badass in that conference that you could still go and be pro somewhere else, play futsal,
Yeah,
but it also starts with how well you prepare your body for those programs because if you go straight out of high school and don't really follow a strength and conditioning program, you're not going to be and I hate to say you're not going to be that star unless you're basically preparing your body for that as well. And
I
I
mean,
think
if
that's
you
something
look
I
at
missed kind of growing
yeah,
up.
if you look at like any of the professional athletes, I think someone just said, I think Russell Wilson, Seattle Seahawks QB, just
Yeah.
say he spends over $1 million a year on training his body.
Tom Brady does
And
too.
it's, yeah, and it's like, when I was in high school, I think our high school team went to the weight room one time,
Yeah.
my
You see
whole
what I
four
mean?
years
Yeah.
there. And I hated lifting. I was very self-conscious because I was really skinny and stuff. And I didn't like it. And so the weight room wasn't for me. And it wasn't until I got to college where I realized how important it
Yeah.
was. And now, like, I I love lifting. I mean, it's just now, like, I'm not even lifting for anything in purpose. It's just to lift.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I have different weeks. Like, I'll do like a high rep week, and then I'll do like a low rep high weight week, and just mix it up. And it's just same thing. Like, I wish I knew now, or I wish I knew then what I know now, um,
Yeah.
because I it would have helped me drastically, and it would help to give me better look from coaches, like when
Yeah.
they ask, how much you weigh, and it's like,
Well,
oh, like 130.
to kind of help you, since I know you might go for your licenses, like your the soccer licenses. Some of those higher up ones, they actually require some strength and conditioning knowledge of how to
Yeah,
properly
I
prepare
actually,
teams and stuff like that. And
yeah,
I've learned that through school because
yeah.
once I get like all my certifications, which I'm working on, then I'll be able to do some of the similar things like coach, and I already know how to do a lot of that stuff to prepare teams to compete really.
Yeah, the
But
United like soccer coaches association or
yeah,
whatever. I just got an email because I'm signed up to those. They just sent me one that they're gonna do a class, like a 4 month long class or something like that, and it's just about strength training and performance. And they have like a bunch of different guest lecturers and stuff. And I was like, oh, I might
yeah,
want to sign up for that. So,
cool.
but
But alrighty, man. Well, Chris, thank you for your time.
yeah,
We had a
man.
great conversation. Hopefully, you do well this year as well.
Thank you.
And let me know when there's another game. Hopefully, I can. I know you say tomorrow's your last game, but
Yeah, I mean, and I pick up
and I'm
on club. I
moving.
know
Yeah,
we were playing club down in Maricopa, so like halfway to Tucson. So
cool.
if you want to drive,
I know,
probably not gonna
but
want to fly from Montana though.
yeah, I ain't going. Dude, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know how I'm gonna play with it. It better be some indoor, but cool, man. Well, hey, thank you for your time. I will keep in touch and
Yeah, no
hopefully
problem.
give you some success here coaching and hopefully playing stuff easy play.
Yeah, take care,
Yeah.
man.
All right, man. Peace out.